hazing, and event registration. So to get started with contracts, Terry Potter mentioned in her introduction that she does review the contracts, but all contracts should come into the student activities office first. What we do is we take a little bit off of Terry's plate and we go through and we strike it so it meets all of Plymouth State's universities' policies and procedures. For instance, we don't allow, if you were bringing an artist and in their rider they required, they asked for alcohol, we wouldn't provide that with student activities fees, so we would cross that stuff out. I also get to help you guys review it and look at their requirements as far as their electrical, their staging requirements, all that good stuff. Jen Smith and I will work closely with, so that way it doesn't get to Terry's desk and then sent back to us. So make sure you get it into the student activities office first, and then I will get it to Terry all struck up, ready for her signature, and she'll move it up the chain of command if it's above what she can sign. The signature piece of it all depends on the amount of the actual contract. So it's not, sometimes we'll have questions about insurance policies or something like that that we might have to ask another office. But in general, if it's not Terry signing it, it just means it's more expensive. So it will have to go to the purchasing office and then to the Vice President of Financial Affairs. Any questions about contracts? Is that pretty clear? So make sure if you get a contract, this will be gone. We'll go into more detail in planning the big event, but contracts generally you want to have those in your hand 4 weeks in advance and into our office, because with the contract you're going to be paying somebody, there's a check request, there's room setups, there's room reservations, so you want to make sure that you get those in earlier rather than later. Awesome. Students should never sign a contract. You guys are not you are not allowed to sign on behalf of Plymouth State University, but if you do sign a contract, in certain states, depending on where you're contracting with the person, if you haven't read and reviewed to see which state's laws that contract falls under, you could be held liable to any part of the agreement that they might say, you know, if weather comes in and we can't perform, you still have to pay us. If you sign that contract, it could fall onto your shoulders. We would never really let that happen to you, but do not sign on behalf of Plymouth State University. And as a student organization, you are part of Plymouth State University. So even though you might be the president of a sorority or the Republicans or the program board, anything, you guys are students here at Plymouth State University using student activities funds to run your events. So you don't want to be signing on behalf of yourself because the contract is with Plymouth State University. Cool. An artist cannot go, or an artist or a company cannot come on campus or go on stage without a signed contract. So larger scale events like Spring Fling, Battle of the Bands, Earth Jam, we actually have to stand there that day and make sure that every artist going on stage does have a signed contract, because if a piece of staging fell, if a light fell, if a artist tripped over, Plymouth State is held liable if we don't have a contract with them saying that they release us of any liability. So someone from the administration will be there at the large-scale events to make sure that this doesn't happen. So make sure if you do bring someone on campus, no matter how big or how small it is, or even if you're not paying them, you still need to have a contract signed by Plymouth State University before bringing them on campus. Copyright laws and showing movies. So if you, I know many people, they'll see different departments will show movies on campus. PACE has a movie series on campus. I know some sports clubs in the past have shown movies that are specific to like snowboarding or any type of action movie. Any movie shown on campus does need to have the right spot to it. If you're publicly showing a movie, which means that you are more so than you and your roommate sitting in your residence hall watching a movie, you need to have the rights to show it. If you're reserving a space on campus to show a movie, that's now become a public viewing of the movie. So if you are going to do that, you can come to our office, we'll help you with that. The two companies that you can go through are Swang and Criterion, and those are companies that own rights to movies and they sell them to you. And they're really easy to work with. It's super convenient to work with them. They send you the movie, you show it, you send it back. It's great, it's easy, but it is expensive. So if you are thinking about that, you want to see how much you have in your budget. The movies can range from anywhere between $300 for a documentary to $1,000 for a box office hit this past summer that hasn't even been released yet. So there is a wide range of how much that will cost, but generally you won't see anything for under $250 to get the rights to the movie. Sometimes, if it is a documentary, you will be able to contact the producers or the directors, and they'll give you the right to show it without buying the rights. If you do that, you need to have that in writing, and we need to have that on file for the night of your event. So that way, if anyone ever came and asked us about the showing, we would have something to say. This came from the people who own the rights to the movie, saying that they waived us having to get those rights. Any questions about rights? Sometimes you'll see in a classroom, somebody will show a movie. If it's a credit-bearing class, that is when you can use a movie for educational purposes. So a lot of myths go around saying that, oh, if I'm showing it for an educational purpose, or if I bring in a professor to speak during the movie, then we don't have to buy the rights to it. That's not true. The reason why classes can show it is because they're credit-bearing classes, so that's what makes them academic and educational. Even though we know you're going to learn something from it and that is educational, it doesn't get us past the law. And this is New Hampshire state law, and I believe it aligns with the federal law. It's not just a Plymouth state policy, so we do have to abide by it, and there'll be no bending of it. If you're showing a piece of a movie, we generally say it's a gray area. So our policy here at Plymouth State University is that anything less than 30 minutes. Keep them short, keep them 5 or 10 minutes, but if it's going over 30 minutes, you should definitely have the rights to that movie before showing it. Questions about copyrights? All right. Event registration. This is somewhat new, but we really want you guys to there's a part that you have to get on board with, and then there's a part that we want you to get on board with to benefit your events. And so after you decided to host an on-campus event and you've gotten your confirmation from Jen Smith, we encourage you to go on and register your event. And it's super simple. If you look up at the OrgSync screen, let me see, we'll go into the PAW one because I think that I can do this from here. All you have to do to create an event on OrgSync is to go into events. Oops, sorry, I have to find one that I have. Use OrgSync. Let me sign into my own OrgSync first. What this will do is it will advertise to all students on campus. And I'll show you the different areas that we have this calendar, so that we will be promoting it to all first-year students, which at the beginning of the year, you definitely want to be catching their eye. And just in general, it'll be a great place for you to go see what else is going on campus. So if everyone gets on board with this, you won't be competing with someone else who's hosting a similar event or the same event on the same night. All right, so if you went into your organization, so I'll pick the SAO because that'll be my organization today, and you went to events and then event list, you'll have this little green button as an administrator of your organization to create the event. And it's just like any other type of event that you might make in a Google Calendar or on Facebook or anywhere. It's name, category, you'd want to pick general or social, or your organization might have a couple of other ones. If you're a cultural organization or anything like that, you can upload a picture with it to catch someone's eye. Date, time, location, and then write in a description. And just like Word, you have all these options to make the description a little bit prettier. You could cap the limit of people who can RSVP to the event if you do require an RSVP, and you can designate who can see the event. I encourage you, for an event that's happening on campus that you want people to go to, leave it visible to everyone. Click off public and website, and then click off share on club and organization's calendar. And that's probably going to be the most important click that you guys make. And I will show you where that one goes. So if I submitted that, it would say event submitted, and you'd see it, and you'd be able to review it and go back and edit it. You can even duplicate it. But right here in clubs and organization, when you're in the general home screen, there's a calendar here. And you can see we started putting in the Welcome Week events. And this is where everybody will be able to come and see what's going on. You can see the PAW events are here, a quick link. If they want more details, it'll bring them to the event that you just made. It's bright, it's colorful. It's one general calendar for everything that's going on campus. Jen and I have this little bar up here where we can then approve the event on there. And then if we see something about your event, for instance, if you were having an ice cream social and we know another organization's already having an ice cream social, it gives us a chance to help you out and say, hey guys, you may not want to do this on this date, let's look at a different date, maybe a week later, or maybe you guys can combine resources to host your event together. So we want you guys registering your events on campus through this system, one, to help you advertise, but two, to help us help you planning better events and not conflicting with other organizations on campus. Another place that we advertise this event, because I know some people say that they don't love logging into OrgSync. Our office manages the general clubs and orgs website, which any one of you who has an OrgSync webpage can create a website through OrgSync. It comes to here, and this link right here, the calendar's right there again, or if they click on calendar, it'll bring them to it. So they don't even have to log into OrgSync to see this calendar. And this is what a lot of CAs, orientation leaders, our office assistants, anyone we talk to on campus, this is just our one-stop shop that we can tell people go to find out what's going on campus. So that's why we encourage you to register your event through here. Any questions about how to create an event on OrgSync? All right. The other area about registering your event, so if you have an on-campus event, it's held on campus, somewhere on Plymouth State University's property. The other events would be off campus. So what we did for that was we created a form. And you can still create an event on the calendar so that people can see it, especially if you're doing an off-campus event. If you're trying to bring a group of students to a Red Sox game or something like that, you can still do an event like that and create it to show on the calendar, and we'll still approve it. Oh, before I go into the off-campus one, the other thing that we will do for you if you create an event in that calendar is right when people log into OrgSync, these banners, that's where we find out what's going on, and we can create a banner right there. And when you click on this banner, it again brings you to that event that you created so that they can get the information. You can put in the description for more information, contact X, Y, and Z. So it just gives you a lot of places to get your name out there that we know first-year students are being told to go to. So then if you went into forms, and you can go into it in your personal page or into just under the clubs and organizations, it lives under every forms tab, and it's the off-campus event registration form. And you would just fill it out with all the information that we request. An off-campus event is defined as an event funded by a student organization's budget, the use of Plymouth State University name or brand or the organization's name and brand with conjunction to that event, an event that has been advertised by a student organization to gain attendance, or an event held on property that is not owned by Plymouth State University and meets one of the top 3 criteria. So there's a couple of different ways that you can say, is my event off campus? So down on Main Street, that's off campus because it's not owned by Plymouth State University. If you are funding a trip to one of the ski mountains, that's off campus, and we need to know that it's happening because you're using student activities funds and you're bringing a group of students on behalf of Plymouth State University. So say that a couple of the ladies from, I'm going to say, one of the sororities, because we have one, say right in front of us, say they are just a group of friends who want to go to a movie night or to go see a movie for the night, they don't have to register that just because they're a group of Plymouth State students that happen to be in the same organization. But if they say, okay, we're going to go ahead and use our funds to pay for the movie and call this a social event, now that has become a movie night on behalf of Plymouth State University, whatever chapter might be hosting this event. If they are saying, we're all going to pay for it ourselves, but we're going to advertise and put flyers around campus to get people to come with us and say that it's hosted by our organization, now they've put their letters, their name, their brand, they said Plymouth State University, chapter, blah, blah, blah. That then makes it an off-campus event with Plymouth State University. Does everyone understand the difference between a group of friends going to do something and an organization? Okay, so anytime you want to do this, you can start a form, and then if you find out you don't have information, you can just hit save and come back to it, so that's a great feature of it. So right here, I started the form earlier. It would say fill out form up here if I hadn't already started one, but we'll go into resume the form. And it just comes in, I'll show you some of the first pages that. So you come in, and it just asks you basic questions, organization, event, your contact information. This should be the student leader contact information. So this has to be someone actually attending the event, and then explanation of the event. And then and then on the next page, we're gonna ask you a little bit about the itinerary of the event. Where are you going? What date and time are you going? When are you returning? And how are you getting there? And from these options here, that will prompt us to ask other questions. So not every form is gonna look exactly the same, because if you're walking to an event, it's a whole lot less involved than if you're renting a van. So for this one, I picked renting a van. A flight would ask, what flight number are you taking? Where are you going? What hotel are you staying? When you get there, is there any other information we should know? Are you guys taking taxis, or are you renting a car once you get there? So I'll ask you those questions. But just for an example, renting a van, it brings you in, it shows you the rental vehicle policy that you can read real quick. It asks you what rental company, make and model, how many people you're taking with you, and then gives you terms and conditions just to read. To make sure that you guys know all of the policies that that by hosting an event off campus that your organization, you as a student leader, are agreeing to. Because I feel like in the past, some of you have been going on these events and not realizing what your responsibility is as a student leader. And we just want to make sure that when you're on the trip, we know that somebody is with you who knows who to call if an emergency happens and how to handle it. So that's why we're having you register these. And then again, so that we can see where our student organizations are going. Once again, spring break comes, you and a couple of people that happen to be in the same student organization decide to go on a trip together, you don't have to register that for us. If your organization, if you're part of an organization that wants to take a group of students someplace for that week, and you are paying for their flights, or you've done fundraising together, and that's gone into your student org account, and that's how you're paying for it, then it becomes a student org off-campus event. The last page is the student leader responsibility to make sure that the person who's registering the event understands their responsibility. Again, the person registering the event is considered the student leader, and they should be attending the event. And then lastly, we ask that you upload a roster of the students. This is the final itinerary. In one of the parts, it does ask for you to send us a roster of the people attending the event. That might be hit or miss if you're able to do that, so we'll have that discussion as you register your event. Because if you are doing a group trip, again, down to Boston, down to New York or something, and you're selling tickets, you might not have the roster at the time that you're registering the event. But in general, you will eventually know who's going on the trip, or you should know who's going on the trip if you're taking a group of students off campus. And then lastly, the final itinerary. So where are you going, when are you leaving, if there's anything that we didn't ask in that basic information. Any questions about off-campus event registration?
Does this mean sports club council travel itineraries, or?
So sports club councils, great question. Sport club councils, Catherine Chinoin is here. She's going to meet with you immediately after this event. So for your games and your trips, you should not be doing this form. She will take care of it, and I'm even going to let her even tell you when you should fill out this form, if you should ever fill out this form. I'm going to let her tell you. So if you are in a sports club, talk to Catherine immediately after this meeting. Okay. Last thing before I give you guys some important dates, PAW kicked off last year. For those of you who don't know what PAW is, it's an initiative started by the Student Affairs Division. It is now run by 2 students. And all it truly is a group of people coordinating a calendar to make sure that students have something to do Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, sometime between 9 to 11 o'clock. So what we want to do, myself and our 2 students, Lindsay Dole and Caitlin Moody, who are going to be working with it, we want to collaborate with you guys. What do you have already going on during that time frame? Or are you looking to host an event and you need someone to help you market it? We are here to help you market these events. We are here to add to your events, and we are here to give students something to do on campus on the weekends. So let us know if you would like to get involved with the PAW programming. I don't know if John is here tonight, but the chess club has already reached out to us, so they're going to have it. Is that you? Awesome. Nice to finally meet you. So they're going to be hosting an event. The Wellness Center, if you guys don't know about the events this week, Rec Programs is hosting a Group X demo night on Thursday, and then PAW has a couple of homegrown events. Again, we're here to make sure that there's something going on, so when there isn't a club or department who wants to host an event, we will fill that with, tie-dye, bingo, some other event. So you'll see those happening this week, and if it's something that you guys want to get on board with, definitely let us know. I will email out, Norma will email out Lindsay and Caitlin's information in her next email to make sure that you guys have it, so if you want to get involved, you can do that. Any questions about PAW? Great. All right, lastly, important dates, if you want to take out pens and papers and stuff. Whatever you need, phones, whatever. All right, Student Activities Fair, September 11th, 4 to 6 p.m. on the Alumni Green. You guys are working at the event, so for you, you should be there around 3:45 to start setting up your table because the event starts at 4 o'clock. Nora?
You do not have to register for your tables. They will be set up there.
Yes, yes. And the tables are first come, first served. So if you host, or you are going to host a table for 2 organizations, or you're hosting for one organization, your friends are in another one, you want to be next to each other, get there first. Because we don't hold tables for people. We'll try to play along nicely, and hopefully a couple of the student organizations who may want a table might be like, oh yeah, it is easier for you to be at both tables. But in general, it's first come, first serve, and we want to fill the front of the area and break down tables that aren't being used so that first-year students or students who have been here for a couple of years who are now deciding to get involved, it looks like every table is filled and there's a lot going on campus. We don't want them walking by empty tables and thinking that someone didn't show up. We put out enough tables for everyone, and then we break down what doesn't get used. So make sure you get there 3:45, definitely by 4, and get there early if you need to have a special accommodation of where your table is or if you need to be next to somebody else. Great. I talked about the PAW events. The fall schedule you can see on those calendars that I showed you. It's all the same calendar, it's just located in a couple of different locations. But as events get planned, you can see those on there. Everyone will be registered on there. So if you're looking for an open date, that's where you can find it. Or if you're looking to see if you were planning on having an event on that date and you want to see, what PAW has going on, if you want to combine your event with that one, or you want to give us a heads up and say, hey, don't host that event on that night because we're going to do this. I know last year we ran into that problem with the drag show. Is anyone from Pride here? Awesome. Yeah, so knowing what date your event is, or anyone who's in the marketing class that does PSU's Got Talent, if that's still going on, those are events that happen late night that we don't want to conflict with. So feel free to hop on the calendar, check out what we already have planned, and let us know if it conflicts with anything already. Awesome. Planning the big event workshop, happening right after this. We will do one a little bit later in the semester, but if you want to have an event within the next couple of weeks, you should attend this one, so make sure you stay if that applies to you. Homecoming week is September 30th through October 6th. Do you have anything about homecoming, or no? About packets or anything? No?
No.
Okay. So PACE will be emailing out to all student organizations, because I know they do the competition each year, so they'll be emailing out about the packets, when they're due, all that good stuff. You will get an email, we'll filter it through, most likely Norma's email since she has the direct contact with all of you guys. So look out for Norma's email too if you want to be involved with the homecoming competition this year. How to run an effective meeting. It's part of the leadership workshop series. That's going to be on September 25th at 6:30 in the Student Senate room. All of you are welcome to come to it. Space obviously is limited because it's the Student Senate room, so get there early, but I think it's really important for anyone sitting in this room because you're going to be running meetings. So go there early and find out how to run an effective meeting. The lead programs will continue every Wednesday throughout the fall semester after that first event. So check out the lime green flyers up on campus. They have the Panther, it says keep calm and lead on. Check out that list of events. They're also all in that calendar that I showed you on OrgSync. So if you're interested in leadership development, make sure that you mark down those dates. And then lastly, if you, I'll announce this again at planning the big event, but if you're hosting an off-campus event and you're going to be driving, you will have to attend a defensive driving course. The first one is going to be on Monday, September 9th, from 4 to 5:30 in the Senate room. And if you miss that one, the next one's not going to be until September 30th. So make sure if you're trying to do an off-campus event between Monday the 9th and September 30th that you attend that first one, because you won't get a chance and you won't be able to be the driver of your event. Any questions about the dates? Yes. You do have to take it again, Catherine, is that correct? to the campus, even if they've taken, have you taken it here?
Yeah.
Oh,
If you
okay.
have taken defensive driving.
Oh, you have to do it
like-
once a year.
Like you took the class this week or something like that. You can bring in a copy of your certificate and that will count. If you have taken it on campus, you'll have to take it again. We
Yes.
want people to take it every year. So
Yeah.
anybody who wants to drive for your club will need to do that. And the registration will be online and there will be guided learning.
The registration is online. I just made these events, so defensive driving, if you click on the event and you go down, the link to the registration page is right there in that event. Did everyone see that? So if you go into ORCSing, click on the banner that says defensive driving. In the information is the link, and it'll bring you right to where you register to say what date you're going to. Great question, thank you. Did I see another hand go up? Yeah.
It used to be 21 only, but so if a kid under 21 takes the class, you can drive vans. Is that what's going on?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so this allows, I think it's 18 plus is what it turns into. So I don't think there's anyone who'd be the president of an organization who's under 17, or 17 and under. So if you are, please give us a heads up and we'll figure out how to work with you. But 18 plus, if you've taken defensive driving, you'll be allowed to. Yep. Great question. Yeah.
He meant if you're 21, you don't have to take the course to drive vans.
We still encourage it. If you aren't able to attend a course,
The official policy is that everyone needs to take the defensive driving class.
yes. Great.
There's room for exceptions for clubs that are traveling in a time frame that makes that not possible.
Mhm.
So like,
Men's rugby.
but that will.
Are you part of men's rugby?
Yeah.
But that is for this year for this weekend.
Again, sports clubs, ask your policy questions to Catherine.
Yeah.
Because of how often you travel,
Yeah.
there are a little bit of exceptions to accommodate your schedule. Yes.
This is only if they're driving the vans, or is it for anyone who's running anything?
It's for driving vans. We do not encourage you to drive personal vehicles when it is a student organization event. If you are doing that, we'll have a further conversation about what the policies and procedures are about that. And that again goes along with that event registration form. That's going to give us a heads up to let you know what the policies are with the transportation methods that you're choosing to use. Any other questions? All right.